This is for your slides.
Right, Mike.
Forwards and backwards.
We're ready to go?
Yeah.
Forward and back? Excellent. Forward.
Yeah.
All right. The comedy here is that I've been an IT professional for 26 years, and I'm learning how to work this. So I was given 10 minutes to speak, so let's move it. I thought what I'd talk about is something that came up. Actually, I have a paper here. The issue arose a couple of months ago about whether to put the path line on the subway map. There was someone called Stuart Mader, who has a website called Gotham Hudson. I don't know if he's here tonight. Maybe not. I'm going to show. I'll show what he did. Path, if you're not from New York, is the other subway line, the one that runs partly in Manhattan and partly in New Jersey. It's never been an MTA line, of course. It's been on the subway map from time to time. The Hagstrom map always showed it. So the question is, can we fit it in there? Obviously, the New York subway map is supposed to be a map only of the subway system run by the MTA. But the difference between that and a map showing all the rapid transit lines, I'm sorry, I'm going in and out, right? The difference between that and a map showing all the rapid transit lines is very small because the path line is only a little bit extra to add. He managed to get a reaction from the MTA. A spokesman called Kevin Ortiz said that putting path on there would confuse our customers. We would have to shrink the map a lot to fit that in. We want our subway map to be large and legible with less clutter. And also, lastly, putting path on there might make it look like you would have a free transfer to path, and that would further confuse people. So what we have right here is, this is a portion of the current subway map. As you can see, there's no way you could fit New Jersey in there because the Hudson River is extremely wide, and you can't even get to the other side. Now, see if this works. You can see path there. It's shown with the railroad type symbols. Can we get this to move there? This is what Stuart Mader did. It's a little blurry because I had to grab it off his website. As you can see, you actually can fit New Jersey in there, and you can fit enough of path to show its lines within the city and the fact that it goes to Hoboken and Jersey City. You're not going to show how it goes all the way to Newark because that really would extend the map a lot. One of the things about going to Hoboken is that the MTA has two commuter transit lines that actually start in Hoboken, New Jersey, and they run up to Rockland and Orange counties. So it's not even going outside MTA territory to show that much of New Jersey on the map. So I think the argument that you can't fit it really doesn't make any sense at all. The second objection was we want our map to have less clutter, and, what can I say? Now, the third point is that it might appear that the path stations have free transfers to the subway. So I thought I'd take a quick look at how free transfers have been shown over the years. There. This is from, I've made some incredible enlargements. I wanted to make sure you could see this clearly. This is from the Hagstrom map of 1947, and we see the 59th Street, Columbus Circle stations. If you're not familiar with them, the red Independent subway station is in fact directly below the blue, dirty blue Interborough station. They cross like that. In 1947, there was no free transfer yet. The unified subway was not really unified until 1948, when they began to open a lot of free transfers. Showing the two station symbols right next to each other made a lot of sense because they really are on top of each other. This is a later Hagstrom map, and you can see the way they show a free transfer. It's to show a little black line between the two. Now, The reason I picked this one to show is that it's a difficult one to show because on the red line, that's an express stop. Every train stops there. But on the blue, only the local trains stop. And it's always been a little challenging to how you make a symbol to show that. I think the Hagstrom map did it very well because you can still see the difference. An express station is a circle with a black spot in the middle, and a local station had just an open circle. Also, Hagstrom put that great big box, Hagstrom put that great big box that says free transfer with an arrow at every one of them on the entire map to make sure you didn't miss it. Okay, it's going ahead by itself, it's great. This is the next one. This is from the George Salomon map, which is one of my favorites. I thought it was very clear, very concise, no clutter. His symbols for local stations were a little crossbar, and express is a circle with an X for express, I think. Here, because of the free transfer, the name of the station is in yellow and red also. I think it's red for express and yellow because it's a free transfer. It's 66, you can see the way he showed other stations. They're in a little white lozenge. The little balloons, like including the white one, helped get the name of the station and the station together in cluttered areas of the map. The other things, the 10 and so forth, were not part of Salomon's design. They were put in some of the later editions like this one. They represent points of interest on the map. Oh, another thing on the Salomon map, he put what street the station was under, like you see 66th Street says Broadway, to help you know where you were in the street system. Of course, he shows no streets at all, unlike the Hagstrom map. What do we have next? Right, the 1967 map. Again, tremendously enlarged, so you can see the quality of the printing. This is the one that has the great big boxes. They essentially gave up on trying to show you express and local. They just, graphically, they just did it by simply just listing in the box what stops there. There's no sense of an express or local stop anymore. This thing over here with the free transfer and the picture of the two subway cars and the arrows is so small on the printed map that you can't make out what it is. And the fact that it's printed so badly doesn't help it either. And move on. There. Here's the Vignelli map in giant enlargement. We wanted to mention hello? Nope. No. I'm trying to go back. 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 The one before this. Yes, this one. I find this map really, really ugly, and I'm sure many of you do too. But it has sort of a folk art kind of look to it. It's like designed by somebody who didn't really know what he's doing and just tried his best, you know. And for that reason, I can't really call it the worst subway map. It's kind of fun and enjoyable in a certain way to look at. Whereas the Vignelli, I find, is the worst subway map. I'm sorry. It's designed by an internationally famous design firm, and yet, you know, you look at it. This is the one that has 50th Street and Broadway west of 8th Avenue, as was mentioned already. Which means and there's some other errors like that too. It's not even topologically correct, which is one of the few things that a diagram map really should be. On this one, we have the thing, you know, where the little black spot means the train stops, and if it's not there, it doesn't. At normal size, it's actually hard to see where the black dots are. He's chosen some rather dark colors, and it's a little hard to make out where the trains stop, I think. The other thing is that the way he shows the free transfer, if the spots are next to each other, that means you could change trains without paying again. You just have to know that. Except sometimes when he has to draw a hairline between the spots because they're not next to each other. Looking at this, to me, I'm not sure if I can only change between the 1 and the double A, or can I change between the 1 and the other ones that are next to it, because the black line doesn't go all the way across. What do we have? The, if we can get to it. Yes, this. As Peter mentioned, we like this transfer symbol because it's something like the one on the underground map. Basically here, the locals are shown by a little nub like you see up there at 66th Street, and express stations are shown by a circle. But they ran into trouble when they wanted to show a free transfer because you can't really draw the line going out to the little nub of the local station. So they invented this rectangular box. I'm not sure that's totally clear, and of course, again, they have actually listed all the trains that stop there because they failed to show graphically which trains stop there. And yes, and this is the version. It's essentially the same map, but they have changed a few things. One of the things they changed is that, once again, the fact that circles are near each other is supposed to show you that it's a free transfer. I don't know if that's totally clear anymore on this map. And that, I think, is the problem with putting path on the map, is that second one I showed you. Because as path goes up 6th Avenue, it really is right next to the 6th Avenue subway, and any representation of the stations has to show the path, like 14th Street station and 23rd Street stations, has to show it right next to the subway station because that's really where it is. With this style where the stations next to each other means transfer, that's where you run into trouble. Got smaller. This is a little piece of the subway map that I did, and I'm just amateur doing it for fun. I use 2 lines for express and local service, and I use a circle for everything. So there's only one station symbol. And I think it's very clear here that on the red line, some of the trains just don't stop at that station. I don't need to spell that out by writing out the names of the trains. I do show the letters and numbers. They don't happen to show on this little fragment here. But just above this, I mentioned that the left-hand red line is the 1, and the other one is the 2 and the 3. Let's go back to Hagstrom. No? You know, sometimes the right button is back. So maybe the left button is forward? Yes? Yes? Yes. Okay, here's a Hagstrom map. Hagstrom really had 2 subway maps. There was one that was printed smaller and one that was printed larger. This is the smaller one. You can see path is shown here. It's called Hudson Tubes back in those days. It's shown in a thinner line than the subway, so there's no confusing it, but it is shown there. The other thin line on the right is the 3rd Avenue L, which was not a subway line, but was a subway system property. And later in Hagstrom, this is the other Hagstrom map, the one that was printed large. You can see the little finer detail. Again, it shows the Hudson Tubes, which is now path. On this one, they got a little more fancy. Everything that goes under the river has a little picture of trains going through a tunnel. It's just kind of cute. And if it goes over a bridge, they drew the suspension bridge. See the Manhattan Bridge there in yellow? And Williamsburg up there. So the Hudson Tubes get the full treatment there, especially downtown where the tubes are rather separate from each other. They actually show the 2 of them. The Holland Tunnel is also shown with little cars running through it, and the Lincoln Tunnel as well. And yet this map is still really clear, I think. This is another one of my favorite maps. Okay, now this is not quite the current map. This is 1979, maybe 1980. I grabbed this one from. The Hudson Tubes the path line is shown here. It's, in fact, in this screen, I don't think you can see it at all, but like on one of the side screens, see it's that little gray line that crosses the Hudson River, and you can barely make it out. It's just about not there. In the next one, in the slightly more modern, a little closer to current day. Is this current day? No, this is still not current day, but it's shown here the way it is on the current map. It's shown in like a dark blue color. So it's there, you know, but it's kind of underemphasized. You don't want to pay too much attention to that. And they show it the same way they show suburban railroads, even though path like a subway line, you can get a train every 5 or 10 minutes. You don't have to wait for a turntable. So I think the problem with showing path is the free transfer problem. They don't want to redesign the entire map to show free transfers more clearly, and if they don't do that, then if you put path right next to it, it looks like you can change. So they've got a problem. Just for fun, I got 2 more here. This is the full MTA map. I see we're having disagreements on the measurements. I measured this to be 20 by 24 inches, or 5 by 6 in general. I guess it could be printed different sizes. Again, you see you can fit Jersey in there. I took my map and cut it to be this ratio by cutting some parts of it out. And I got, whoops, lose it? I got this, which to my amazement, the size of the lettering is exactly the same as it is on the subway map, the MTA map. As you can see, the subway part is smaller, and we get more of the suburban, and you certainly get New Jersey fitted in there. I know Eddie will tell me I have nothing about the neighborhoods or parks or anything in there. So. But it was an interesting thing for me to try to do. I made it fit so that we got all of Staten Island in, and we got the Rockaways in, and this is the result of doing that. So I had fun with that. So that's it for me. Thank you.